time is of reserve.
Golic and Wingo and Mercedes-Benz vans want to send you to the College Football Playoff National Championship game in New Orleans.
Your next chance to win happens today
at 9 Eastern, only with Golic and Wingo.
Go to ESPNradio.com for official contest rules.
Time is of the essence when you can't find the word essence. It's Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. I just...
Essence.
I'm
not just going to say essence throughout the show.
Essence was very difficult for me. Not this Christmas hoodie, though. It's easy for me. Let's get you caught up on some of what is trending from around the world of sports, and it starts with number 9 Kentucky. They beat Utah Valley. Who cares? Well, a lot of people do because it was a closer game than it should have been. Kentucky wins 82-74, and frankly, they led by 16 early in the second half. But Utah Valley chipped away. This was a 1-point game with 3:26 remaining. At this point, now you got to remember this is a Kentucky team that while they beat Michigan State to start the season, they lost at home to Evansville. There is a conspiracy theory that has floated the interwebs that Calipari actually lets this, he wants this to happen. He's going to let his guys coach themselves so that they can work out of these ruts early in the season. Earlier today, I had the chance to ask ESPN basketball analyst Jimmy Dykes what he thought of that theory and if Calipari actually likes what's happening right now. This is what he said. Coach, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but I have to ask you about one that is all over college basketball Twitter right now, and that is that Coach Calipari will actually let his players sort of coach themselves through these moments so that they can learn to get through adversity on their own. Your thoughts on the conspiracy theory that Calipari actually likes what's happening right now?
Well, I know he doesn't like it. You know, he does like his team growing through hard times. And last night he let him play through about a minute and a half stretch where he could have called a timeout. The game got close, and he let them figure it out. They made the right play. So coaches like to see their guys work through a hard spot, work through adversity within the game. Coaches do like that. What they don't like is not being full strength, not getting on the offensive glass, not being able to stop the ball and guard the ball, not being able to make open shots. Those are the things right now that I'm sure Coach Cal is most concerned about. Things that can be fixed in time, but they're going to have to get fixed in time.
Well, and the health issue will fix itself over time, but the shooting issue will not. Next up in What's Trending, Luka Doncic doesn't have any problem shooting. Scored 42 points in a triple-double. The Mavs beat the Spurs 117-110. Doncic hit a three-pointer with 26 and a half seconds left to play. That put the Mavericks up 115-110. Doncic on the night, 42 points, 12 assists, 11 boards. The first career 40-point game. Second player under 21 with the 40-point triple-double. And a league-leading sixth triple-double of the season. So in other words, the trending breaking news is that Luka Doncic is really good at basketball. Okay, and last up, our social play right now. The 3 top Jeopardy champs, including James Holzhauser and Ken Jennings, will face off in a, quote, greatest of all time tournament. So we're asking you at Golic and Wingo, what superstar athletes from different generations would you want to see in a competition? Danny tweets LeBron versus Jordan. Please, can we just see that? Like, if I could invent a time machine, I would go back and just fix this one thing so we'd no longer have to answer the question of LeBron versus Jordan.
Honestly, that might not go well for MJ.
Well.
Ooh,
I mean, just do the math.
Welcome to the side of youth, Trey. LeBron over Jordan. We're here.
No. I still think Jordan's the greatest clutch player of all time.
You're talking about in a one-on-one.
I mean, 6'5" versus 6'8" and 275.
I just want it to happen so that, but the only problem is we would lose months of our collective sports talk radio lives. JC tweeted Ali versus Tyson. Conflicting styles there. David, Montana's 49ers.
Give me Ali all day and 5 days on Sunday.
David says Montana's 49ers versus Brady's best Patriots team. Good one.
Wow, that is a good one.
I know where I'm going.
But listen, Belichick against
Walsh.
I mean,
that's a good one.
That's a pretty nice matchup right there.
Bill Walsh, Bill Belichick.
Wow.
Yeah, sign me up for that
And Brian really gets the show. By the way, you can keep tweeting us at Golic and Wingo with what you think, what matchup you want to see. He wants Golic versus Joey Chestnut versus Donuts. Donuts lose in that one every time, right? Like the Donuts don't stand a chance.
No.
Well, donuts were made to be eaten, so do they really win?
People's stomachs would lose.
I don't know. I think America
stomachs
wins.
lose by having a donut in it. Oh, it'll leave. That's okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's got to balance it, man. You just hit legs that day. It's called gains.
Yeah.
Listen,
on,
give me Jack in his prime.
Get them jeans fit
Tiger
tight,
in
boy.
his prime at Augusta. That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. Match play. Jack, Tiger, Augusta.
Tweet us what you want at Golic and Wingo, by the way. That's what's trending, gentlemen.
Golic and Wingo is presented by Progressive Insurance, protecting small business with specialized coverages from commercial vehicles. More at progressivecommercial.com.
Actually, greatest athletes of all time, you know what I'd like to see? Current Paul Feinbaum against collegiate Paul Feinbaum.
Oh, boy.
That's a matchup.
Oh, boy.
I'd like
The only
to
guy
see.
taking down Paul is Paul.
That's
out
exactly
here.
right.
Yeah.
The only person strong enough to take down Paul would be Paul.
Oh, I'm begging you to stop that.
And joining us now is our good friend Paul Feinbaum
my God.
from the SEC
sorry,
Network.
Sorry, Paul.
Paul, again, Paul on Paul would be the greatest thing of all time. That can't happen because, as Ronda Rousey knows, we don't have the ability to go back in time. But more importantly, if you had the ability to go back in time, would you have a problem with Nick Saban playing Tua Tagovailoa when they were up 35-7 at Mississippi State?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if we could go into the time tunnel, that would be where I would land. It's just one of those, we've all been there in time, Trey, where we make a gut decision and it turns out to be disastrous. My decision today to come on this program. But
That's every week, Paul, just so we're clear. That's an evergreen statement, and we appreciate that.
but I mean, I don't know when I've seen something quite like this where, yeah, I mean, people are screaming at the television around the country, what's Tua doing in there? We all know the backstory, and then something inexplicable happens. I can't remember a time, to add to your previous question, when something like this has occurred. We've seen it in sports history, of course, but this was gut-wrenching, and I realize maybe I'm a little closer to it than some people, but about 3 o'clock on Saturday, it just seemed like there was a collective disgust and sickness around the sports world, and it was because of what we were looking at right there.
Paul, is there any part of you going into the future, knowing he won't be playing ball for a while, that would say, go back to Alabama?
No, not at all. And I know some Alabama fans, Mike, are pushing for that, but Tua has nothing to prove. Absolutely nothing. We all know he's a generational quarterback. I think the NFL scouts and GMs know that he is capable of playing at that level. I mean, to go back there and to go through this gauntlet again and maybe to risk getting hurt again, I think is ridiculous. I don't think there's any chance he'll do it, and I don't think there's any reason for him to do it.
So to recap, in the first two questions with our good friend Paul, I've asked about time travel backwards, and you've gone forward into the future.
There you go.
Okay, just
How about the present now?
We cover all the bases. So, Paul Feinbaum with us here.
You know what I'm afraid of, though, guys?
Yeah.
If I went back, I'm not sure I'd look any better at 16 than I do now at this early morning.
I've seen the photos, Paul. You were sexy.
Well,
God.
I didn't want to say it, but maybe next week. My high school shot. I've always joked that if I had stayed with a full head of hair, I would be so dangerous right now that it would probably infringe and endanger my career.
It's amazing. My son thinks the exact same thing.
Like I said, Paul, I'm right there with you. As Paul Feinbaum joins us, he's brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Get your local store today and grab some delicious ice cold Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville, now playing everywhere college football games are played. Paul, just one handsome guy asking another handsome guy at this point. With all this being said, and Mac Jones now at the helm for Alabama, are they really, like, truly out of this playoff conversation?
Mike, I know it's easy to say Alabama's done. Those are phrases we haven't ever used before, but I'm not quite ready to do that. I think it would take a confluence of events that we have seen before in the college football playoff and in the old BCS. I think it may be too much, but if play the if game. I mean, this week Alabama will be widely ignored playing Western Carolina, and they should be. But next week, if they go down to Auburn and look good, I mean, I don't think you have to score a lot of points and beat Auburn convincingly. I mean, we're talking about winning at Auburn, a team that I know some will say, hey, they'll be an 8-4 team if Alabama beats them. But this is a team that has gone to LSU and played a one-possession game, has gone to Florida and played a very good game, lost to Georgia. I mean, some of the scores are quirky. They're all tight. Some of the games Auburn looked like they should have been out of, but they're still a really good team. And the Auburn defense is elite. It may be as good as I've seen this year in college football.
That kid Brown up front is ridiculous. As Paul Feinbaum was with us from the SEC Network. Okay, Paul, not going into the future, but just a prediction tonight. What do you expect the rankings to be when they come out?
Yeah,
tonight?
I don't think they're going to be any different. Although I do think as we flip the switch, I think this is LSU's last week at number one. I still think they're being gifted for what happened last week against Alabama. But if you watch the LSU Ole Miss game, it was scary how porous the LSU defense looked. I mean, they were gashed for more than 400 yards. And I think next week, assuming Ohio State beats Penn State, the Buckeyes will be back at number one. And I think you're going to see some movement, maybe even for Clemson in the future, because even though they're still playing a group of nobodies, they are looking very convincing in that. But I think tonight nothing changes. There's some debate whether Alabama moves down or not. I'm really interested in the Pac-12, especially Oregon. They have looked really good lately. I don't think Oklahoma is looking all that great. So, I mean, the action is going to be after the 4 position. But quite frankly, tonight, not to turn anyone away from ESPN at 7 p.m., but I think it will be status quo.
And then what at 8 o'clock?
Or Twitter and the college, the rankings reaction show. Myself and Jason Fitz and a number of others there. You should absolutely check out because a bunch of wild stuff's going to happen. Don't listen to Paul.
Cheez-Its.
Hey, Paul, I think, and I think others think, LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Minnesota, Penn State all control their own destiny. If you disagree, you can let us know that. Do you think either Oregon or Utah control their own destiny?
Not to the same degree, but I think as Oregon moves through this process, and listen, I mean, I'm one of many who wrote them off in early and late September, but it's going to come down to if they run the table, a second loss to a good Auburn team. We've already discussed them, and they probably should have won that game going away. They just let it get away. I think Oregon is the team to keep your eye on, but no, I mean, it's not a guarantee that Oregon wins out and they are in. That is not something I'm willing to say right now.
Well, listen, one thing we are willing to say is the Pac-12 is in a lot better shape than the Big 12.
Yes, they are.
That much we can say with great certainty. Yeah. I'm dealing with it, Paul.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with it.
And listen, I mean, Jalen Hurts is the only person I know that because of his ineptitude in the first half, he made up for it in the second half and got back in the Heisman race because they were down so much. And all we remembered by about 11:30 on Saturday night is how well he played in the second half, not how poorly he played in the first half.
Very true.
I don't
by him.
I don't count anything that happened after halftime, so I don't know what you're talking about. All right, Paul, we appreciate it. Thanks very much. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks guys. Always fun.
I mean, really, I don't.
Clearly a two-man race for the Heisman, right? Burrow and Hurts.
Yeah. That's pretty much where we're
question.
at this point. Honestly, it's so far Burrows to lose.
Yeah,
at this point
I agree with that.
It's not even funny. And the more and more you watch this kid, and I was going back and taking a look at some stuff with LSU the other day. We always talk about accuracy for quarterbacks, and the completion percentage numbers for Burrow are certainly gaudy, but just the places he's putting the ball, giving those great receivers chances to make yards after the catch, putting it down in the red zone and pinpoint spots in the back in the end zone. He has been as exciting as advertised in college football this year. And God, I mean, Mel and those guys have to be salivating right now at what this kid could potentially do.
And I agree with Paul. If Ohio State takes care of Penn State, I think Ohio State jumps to number one in the next ranking.
The more and more you look at everything, and Ohio State has been a juggernaut this year because they crush people on the ground. Clemson, everyone kind of wrote off after that North Carolina game, and the conversation has been as quiet as anything around them.
They're fine with that.
They're totally fine. Like, we're going to get to the college football playoff, and there's a chance they could very much win this whole thing. Like, offensively and defensively, I don't know if you'll find a team as complete as that group. And I understand Ohio State fans will be up in arm, but I think on their best day, Clemson is a much better passing team than Ohio State.
I agree about how good they are, but they're going to go in overall. If everything plays out, if Ohio State wins the Big Ten and LSU wins, they'll be third.
100%.
Right. So they'll have to do it from the 3 spot. Okay.
Listen, we'll find out what happens tonight and see what happens going forward. But I think that Clemson and Dabo love the fact, fine, talk about everybody else.
Yeah.
Talk about everybody else.
That's a scary team.
We'll be there, and we'll see what happens. You know that's their mindset right now.
I can't wait to hear Jason. Can't wait to hear Jason tonight on the show.
Yeah. It's going to be real. I'm going to be spectacular.
Is it going to be lit there? That's all I
feel like it's going to be lit. By the way, guys, don't sleep on Justin Fields
there.
in your Heisman conversation either. I mean, Justin Fields with Ohio State. By the time we get to the Heisman,
does anyone actually sleep on these things when you say don't sleep on them?
We just went through the segment and didn't mention his name, so it's worth noting.
31 touchdowns, 1 pick, 69% completion percentage. Nice. I mean, he is playing epic levels of football. And by the way, they're going to have the opportunity this weekend with Penn State to get a landmark win. They'll have the Big Ten championship. By the time we get to Heisman time, I mean, Justin Fields, I think, is going to be higher in this conversation than we've got him right now.
And he's a huge portion of their rushing attack that's been so dominant.
So to be higher right now would be in the top 2, and I disagree. He'll get invited to New York, but he's not going to be above Jalen or Burrow. I don't think.
I think he
don't
can
think
end up
all.
above Jalen.
I think he'll end up above Jalen. I think he ends up in second. And then
Jalen plays in the Big 12,
Right. But
and the stats he's going to keep accumulating,
I mean, look at the stats Ohio State's been putting up in the Big Ten.
All right.
Meanwhile, look at the stats on that clock. Coming up next, someone else who's rushing a lot, and what do we make of what we're seeing from him? We'll get to all of that after this.
Trey, well done.
Rivers takes the snap at his belt. Frank Clark coming for him. A fade route right side is intercepted! Intercepted! Dirty Dan Sorensen picks it off! One of the biggest interceptions for Dirty Dan's career! And the Chiefs shut the gate on Phillip Rivers! 4 interceptions by Rivers, and the Chiefs get a gigantic pick!
Chiefs Radio Network on the call. SportsCenter on Golic and Wingo. As a guy that appreciates a shower, I don't know why Dirty Dan is a good nickname. But anyway, Phillip Rivers seeing ghosts last night threw 4 picks in a 24-17 loss to the Chiefs, which matched his career high. Rivers now has back-to-back games with 3+ picks for the first time in his career. On the other side of the ball, Tyreek Hill left the game with a left hamstring injury. Patty Mahomes threw for a modest 182 yards, making that his fewest total in a game he's played from start to finish in his career. He did rush for a career-high 59 yards. Most importantly, though, Kansas City remains in first place in the West. Boo. On to the NBA. I guess you could say Luka was in his bag. He dropped 42 points to go along with 12 assists, 11 boards, and he joins LeBron as the only player in NBA history with a 40-point triple-double before turning 21. And he also became the first player in Mavs history with the 40-point triple-double. Mavs win 117-110. I guess the result of the game does matter. Spurs have lost 6 straight. The Warriors are the only team with a longer active losing streak. Let's stay in the NBA for another result from last night. Dramatic one at that. The Clippers beat the Thunder last night 90-88. It took some late game heroics to get out with the dub. Paul George hit the go-ahead three-pointer with under 30 seconds left to give his team the lead. Here's your fun fact. Since the start of last season, PG's made 4 go-ahead threes in the final 30 seconds of the fourth quarter or overtime. That's twice as many as any other player in the league in that span. Before the start of last season, he was just 1 for 12 on those threes in his career. So apparently moving to L.A. puts ice in your veins.
The legend.
Lamar Jackson, your quarterback's so special.
It's a team game, but quarterback's kind of important. He's playing really at a high level.
The guy seems to do it all. It's been unbelievably impressive.
All right, Golic and Wingo here with you. Glad you're with us. Presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Look, I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
I will go out of my way from now until the end of time to play what I'm about to play for you because I don't care and I love it, but there's actually a reason that we're doing this today.
Now I would just like to introduce y'all to the man, the myth, the legend, the MVP front runner. If anybody else got to say something different about that, then come see me. I'm right here in Beemore outside the bank. If you got an issue with that, come see me. I'm about that. Big trust. Woo woo. Lamar Jackson in the flesh. Yes, sir. Big trust. New Era 8 apparel.
I mean, put that on an endless loop.
It is awesome.
And I will play it all the time. That was Mark Ingram, obviously introducing Lamar Jackson to the postgame press conference after they tap danced all over the Texans on Sunday. And he said the leading candidate for the MVP. And who knew that Mark Ingram, unlike Paul Feinbaum, you and Ronda Rousey and everybody, he is predicting the future, ladies and gentlemen, because according to the Caesar Sportsbook, Lamar Jackson is now the favorite to win the NFL MVP. He took over the top spot from Russell Wilson. He is currently a 7-5 favorite at Caesars after entering the season 50-1. It is the first time so far through the NFL season that Jackson has been at the forefront. Wilson is second at 2-1, followed by Aaron and then Hall of Famer Patrick Mahomes, the preseason.
Listen, I could see him being the guy's going to set another record for rushes, for rushing yards, for quarterbacks, and has the best team, arguably the best team in football right now, right? So, I mean, that checks all the boxes.
I was going to say, we're not above that. Like, it's funny that in the Heisman backfield that we talked about, you can apply Heisman principles to this entire thing.
Yeah.
Because what Lamar Jackson is doing, in addition to best player on best team, is also giving you just absolute truckfuls of those Heisman moments.
We did the highlights yesterday, Tim and I did, on NFL Primetime, and there were 3 plays where Lamar in the read zone actually made the wrong read, and he still gained like 15 yards on every play.
That was the biggest question, right? We saw certainly the passing was the question coming in, and he's passing every grade of that. But the running, when he ran, he was making college guys look silly. But we were like, okay, we're talking about the NFL. We're talking about the greatest football players in the world. He's not going to be able to do that, and yet he is.
So I've got to actually, there's a stat for that. Like,
of course there is.
I know you guys are big second spectrum guys.
Yeah.
Hold on. Did you say second spectrum? Start it.
Yeah, well, this isn't a second spectrum. It's a next gen stat for the NFL.
Same thing to us old guys.
Yeah, I know it means the same thing to you guys. So Lamar Jackson had another great day. I think 9 carries for 86 yards, and they're winning against Houston this weekend. On the season, just to show you how well Lamar does making guys miss. We've seen the spin moves and all that stuff. Lamar Jackson's gained 518 rushing yards after a defender closes to within 1 yard of him this season. So guys are getting in position to make plays and getting burned. That's almost double the next closest for a quarterback. Guess who? Josh Allen with 281 of those said yards. So another great young running quarterback. But Lamar Jackson is getting guys in position. Guys are right there to make the plays, like you said, and they are getting absolutely annihilated.
He is, I'm trying to think, he's the Allen Iverson of the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best way I look. I'm sure there are players. I think Vic might have been faster. Robert Griffin, his backup, which by perfect team construct to have that guy behind Lamar and what you're running, is also a very fast straight line runner. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody quicker.
The quickness is incredible. He's the 10th leading rusher in the league right now.
Oh my God.
The 10th?
I love it when you do the gang thing.
Leading rusher.
That's an insult to gangs.
To gangs.
Christian McCaffrey leads with 1,059. Dalvin Cook second. Nick Chubb is third. All 3 are over 1,000, but Lamar is 10th. And we were talking about earlier the best teams in the AFC and putting Baltimore at number 1. I got a tweet that said, you do know that Kansas City has already beaten Baltimore. Yes, I do. And anybody who thinks if you put both those teams on the field right now, the money wouldn't be on Baltimore doesn't know what they're talking about, because it would.
Because we also mentioned
Baltimore
yesterday,
is a better team right now.
Well, and what we mentioned yesterday, certainly, the injuries.
I'm not going there.
The injuries for Kansas City are one thing, but also with Baltimore, we talked about how different they've been since they acquired Marcus Peters.
Without
Jimmy
question.
Smith came back healthy. What that defense has been able to do. This is what's interesting to me. Over the last 2 weeks, 54% of the money bet on DraftKings MVP odds has been on Lamar Jackson. And of the legit MVP candidates that we have, the Superbook at Westgate Las Vegas would only suffer a net loss on 2 players, Jackson and Deshaun Watson.
Oh, okay. Because they were so
money on those,
right? Because they were so underdogged early on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So super interesting to see just the rise that both have enjoyed during the course of this season.
Honestly, looking at this going forward through the final 6 weeks of the season, barring him falling off the face of the earth, I think it is Lamar Jackson's to lose, because he's going to keep doing these things, and people like to see something new.
I think it's his to lose, but I think Russell Wilson could be close enough. Maybe even Christian McCaffrey is leading the league in rushing now. We talked about, the possibility of a 1,000 guy. If you compare the two, NFL and college, I think Burrow has a huge lead. I think he has a bigger lead on Jalen Hurts than Lamar Jackson has on Russell Wilson. I'll put it in that comparison. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
No, I think that's about right.
Yeah, I would think. But I definitely think he has the lead now. Would you say McCaffrey's third?
Yeah, I think he's third on that list. And
I'd put him beside Deshaun, behind Deshaun.
See, Deshaun after that last game,
he just laid an egg.
He just laid an egg that game.
Body of work, I think he's still behind Deshaun.
Again, we'll see how this plays out going forward. But coming up next, the one player that has the Raiders saying Khalil who, and it's not even the guy the Raiders thought would be the guy saying that. We'll get to all of that after this.
All right, out of all the things on your to-do list, keeping your facility safe should be number 1. When it comes to maintaining a safe and healthy workplace, Grainger's got your back. Grainger has the safety products and services that help keep your crew safe and facility compliant, including over 100,000 safety products, comprehensive safety audits, machine guarding, lockout, tagout procedure, and arc flash services. And, of course, 24/7 customer support. Because when it comes to safety, Grainger's got your back. Call or click Grainger.com or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. Back after this, Golic and Wingo.
The College Football Playoff Selection Committee does not look ahead, so it is not going to assume anything about what Alabama may or may not look like with new starting quarterback Mac Jones in the lineup. The question is whether or not what they've seen already from him, which would be against a 2-8 Arkansas team, and also the second half against Mississippi State, which obviously happened after an extremely traumatic incident to their starting quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, is enough information for them to make a decision on Alabama right now. I don't think it is. My gut says that Alabama will still be number 5 this Tuesday night when the rankings come out. Even before he got hurt, Alabama was on the outside looking in.
NFL Superlatives Football with Golic.
I'm scared. Somebody hold me.
And Wingo.
Oh, yeah. Hey, glad you're with us, everybody. Hope you're having a great Tuesday morning as we are here with Golic and Wingo on the radio program. Tune into your dial. Glad you're with us as it's time to play a little game show we like to call NFL Superlatives. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Let's do this.
Woo.
All right, let's give away the first award.
The
Beignets for Days
Award.
That goes to the man with the most accurate Twitter name in the history of Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
That would be Michael Thomas. What's his Twitter handle, Junior?
Can't guard Mike.
That is a correct statement because you know what you can't do?
Guard Mike.
100%.
Hard to do.
8 grabs, 114 yards, 1 touchdown, 296 receiving yards versus the Bucs this season is the second most by any player versus the Bucs in a season ever, besides only Julio Jones.
It's ridiculous. He's already over 1,000 yards, 90 receptions. It's an absolute joke what's going on. By the way, what did I hear, Cliff? What did I hear you play?
Beignets for days?
What did you just play? Beignets for days.
Uh-oh.
Bonus word time.
Oh, my God in heaven.
Bonus word time. You want to come with us to the College Football National Championship game January 13th in New Orleans. Here's what you need to do. You need to text this word to this number, 777-000, and you are automatically entered. You can do it up till 1 o'clock today. 1 entry per day. We'll pick a winner after this week. Mike, what's the word?
Gumbo.
The word is gumbo.
G-U-M-B-O, 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 and gumbo. What's its name? Oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
Like I never heard that song when I was growing up. I don't want to ever hear that song
Text
again.
gumbo to 777-000. You could win 4 days, 3 nights in New Orleans. Private welcome reception to our show. VIP seating for our show. Then you are an ESPN VIP from the tailgate party to behind the scenes at our production compound. 2 tickets to the game, all brought to you by the new gas-powered Sprinter from Mercedes-Benz fans. Bonus word, gumbo. Text it to 777-000. Cliff, what's next?
The
You're going the wrong way!
Award.
I'm so tired. You take this one.
I was about to say, you all right?
After week 9, the Falcons had a 2% chance to get the top pick. Now, after back-to-back wins, they have less than 0% chance to get that number 1 pick. I listen, you know, if you're a Falcons fan, doing that to the Saints is a moment of solace.
Yes, it is.
2 weeks in a row now,
Yeah, yep.
you're looking and saying, all right, legitimately, what happened with this team?
Hold up. I think this is they're going the right way award. I love what the Falcons are doing here. I love
but
it.
you cost
They're
yourself
playing
a
for
pick.
their coach. They don't want their coach fired. I've never seen a team find a defense in a bye week. I've
Listen.
seen them find a kicker, but never a defense.
Let me let you in on a little secret. Nobody plays for their coach.
Wow.
Yeah,
They may like him.
Yeah.
He seems like a
Okay.
great guy.
I love you, coach.
absolutely
We
does.
love you, Dan Quinn.
But, yeah.
We love you.
He seems like a nice guy. What's next, Cliff?
The Return of the Max Award.
What was that singing? I have no idea.
Oh, my God.
The Return of the Max Award.
How about this? The Mid-American Conference alum with the most sacks in the league is not Khalil Mack, who went to Buffalo,
Yeah.
Remix.
but rather Max Crosby
Heck yeah, it is.
from Eastern Michigan.
4th-round pick.
4th-round pick, taken
Stand
by the
up.
Raiders. Sacked Ryan Finley of the Bengals 4 times, giving him 6.5 sacks this season. Mack has 5.5 sacks.
And he's the only Max that's not an adult film star that spells his name with 2 X's.
No.
Return of the Max Award.
Isn't the tight end who was with Baltimore? Where is he now? Max Williams. Doesn't he go 2 X's?
Oh, he does go.
He does go. How about that?
2 X
How about
Maxes
that?
in the NFL.
2 Max, 2 X's.
Here's what
Return of the Max Award.
Here's what makes this interesting, right? Because Max Crosby was a 4th-round pick. The Raiders had no pass rush. They were expecting this to be from Cleveland Ferrell, who was the 3rd overall pick in the draft. He was way up there.
He doesn't have 6.5
He
sacks.
has 3.5.
Yeah.
So the Raiders were not expecting this from Max Crosby, but they're getting it. Salute, Max Crosby. Salute.
They weren't expecting this. I was expecting this, though.
The Headstand Award.
I love college.
Go ahead, Mike. You go ahead.
The Greek god of post-game celebrations, Quentin Nelson, normally the left guard for the Colts.
Who will join us later on this morning.
Yes, he will.
Very excited.
Little over an hour.
Little over an hour. Q going to join us. Normally the left guard lined up at fullback, a 1-yard run for what was called originally on the field a touchdown, eventually reversed. That didn't matter because him and the rest of the team celebrated with a keg stand end zone celebration for the ages. And I'm going to continue to count that touchdown. In my, Stugatz's personal record book,
Sure.
in my NFL and in the court of public opinion, that touchdown counts.
In all honesty, Q's got to get in there.
Thank you. My point is,
gotta
clearly he's cutting on leg day.
You know what?
Because
you guys tell him that.
I will. Clearly,
Listen,
there was no leg drive.
Am I right?
You are 100% right.
Am I right in front of him where he can reach out and grab me? No, so I'll say it.
But you are right.
Yeah.
You are right if you know you're not right in front of him.
Like an NFL defensive back, Q can always find you.
Yeah. Q, we will happily tell you got to work harder in the gym.
Yeah, I'm not
No
saying
question about that.
Not doing that.
Next
All right,
up.
let's do the thing that I love most.
Boy.
The Hype Man Award.
Mark Ingram. Do I play it or do you play it?
Somebody play
listen, Just listen. No reason to say anything but this.
Now I would just like to introduce y'all to the man, the myth, the legend, the MVP front runner. If anybody else got to say something different about that, then come see me. I'm right here in Beemore outside the bank. If you got an issue with that, come see me. I'm about that. Big trust. Woo woo. Lamar Jackson in the flesh. Yes, sir. Big trust. New Era 8 apparel.
I will never stop playing that song.
The greatest thing is listening to you try and say it
I was
along
just
with
gonna
him.
say.
You sound like the most middle-aged white man that you are.
I have bad news for you.
Holy smoke.
You may want to
playing
sit
to my
down for
strengths.
this.
Wow.
I'm playing to my strengths. I love everything about that.
It is very, very cool, as is when we do the GOAT.
The GOAT.
Greatest of all time.
Dak Prescott threw for 444 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, his third 400-yard passing game this season. He's on pace to go for over 5,000 yards. He definitely should be a guy. MVP.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be. He's
on
not
the
going
list.
to win it.
No.
He'll be on the list. He's not going to win it.
I'd put him over McCaffrey.
But I would not.
I think I would at this point.
You're putting everybody over McCaffrey. You guys
We
have
love
fallen
McCaffrey.
into this quarterback
Finish it up,
garbage.
finish it up,
Wow,
finish it up.
whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
And the other GOAT.
The other GOAT.
And the GOAT.
And that would be Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, threw his first career touchdown pass in the fourth quarter, so that was cool. But until that point, the Redskins had gone 16 straight quarters without scoring a touchdown.
This GOAT is actually the Redskins, not Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, no, he scored it.
Yeah.
He scored. He did his job.
Yeah, he did his job. No question about that.
The
So
Redskins
there they
are
are,
just a
ladies and
horrible
gentlemen, the
team.
NFL superlatives. We will just find 17 more reasons to play that Mark Ingram sound this morning. All right, maybe 18. Coming up next, he's this week's GOAT, but where does he actually fit in the conversation? We'll deal with someone whose job it is to tell the truth. We'll get to that next. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio. Heading over to ESPN News. Well, I'm telling the truth.